James Chili Porter, living in Kentucky. Porter's Place actually started years before it was established. I needed a hustle making sideline money, so I started to rent the Knights of Columbus Hall. I started to rent St. Augustine Gym to make money. And as the years went on, after about 5 or 6 years, then I was approached to open up a nightclub. And the experience that I'd had previously from just renting buildings, it went from there to opening up an actual nightclub, which was on Water Street, and it was called Porter's Place Nightclub. And we had several events at Porter's Place. Some of the events that I really enjoyed having and the public enjoyed having was the Ebony Lady Night, which we went out and not recruited, but we went out and advertised for ladies who wanted to show their best dress, their best representation in general, as it pertained to Black women, African-American women. And one of my other events that I had was the Lady in Black contest, which that was another African-American event where the ladies come out in their best Black outfits. And then one of my other entertainment presentations was what was the name of that? I can't think right now. It was sort of like the Harvest Ball. The Harvest Ball was a real big event because it was doing like October, late October. So everybody came out in their fall outfits, and just the atmosphere in general was real good. And I had several bands. Some of you older people might remember the 26th Street Blues Band from Louisville, Kentucky. I had them. I had a group called the Duos. They was from Lexington, real good group. Who else did I have? Had several of the groups from Louisville, Kentucky. And but the business itself, it was very exciting. I met a lot of people. I see people today asking me, did you run Porter's? I said, yeah. They recognized me, but I didn't recognize them. So a lot went on. Most of it was good, and some of it wasn't so good. So it was two sides to the story. And the time I opened up Porter's Place was the next thing close to the Club Cherry. We had a capacity, it held at least 400 people. Opening night, we probably had 800 people. You can ask anybody that was there. And like the front of Porter's Place was bigger than some clubs itself. I'm not just talking. We had a night, you could come in, and in the lounge, you could sit back in these chairs, man, and almost go to sleep. Now ask somebody, if you don't believe it, ask somebody. So it was like that, but I was fortunate to have a man who had the money. So he put me into the business, and I was the owner of the business and owner of everything that went on there, including the insurance, the liability, and the taxes. Things went on just like a routine night at Porter's Place. We had our DJs, we had friends. My first opening night was Ronnie G, which was the main DJ. Everybody was wanting Ronnie G. So Ronnie G was the guy who was playing for me when I was renting out St. A and the KC Hall. So normally, he would open up my place at Porter's Place, but it was just a routine nightclub atmosphere. You come in, you drink, you party, And that's basically what it is. People would look forward to Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. I had a pool table out front in the front of the building, and people just did what people do at the club. And well, you know, I got to say this: it was a lot of households that was broken up at Porter's Place. There was people who got married, people who left their husband, and people who left their wives. I mean, that's part of Porter's Place. It's a fact. It's unfortunate, but that's a fact, you know. And a lot of good relationships were destroyed, and a lot of good relationships were made at Porter's Place. My workers was my then fiance Bernadette Coconut, and she had a cousin by the name of Pud Calhoun. And then my workers behind the bar would be myself, my good buddy Mike Keel, my buddy Thomas Manley, and my good friend Warner Shively. One of my bouncers was Porgy Hayden. I forgot the other guy's name. And they helped a lot. They helped a lot with the club. I couldn't have done it without them. The building was a old warehouse from years and years and years ago. And then they turned it into a place called the Water Street Cafe. That was run by a white guy by the name of Bill Smothers. And he owned that for years and years. And the Club Cherry and all the other black restaurants was across from where Porter's Place was. And at that time, you couldn't cross the tracks and go over to where Porter's Place where Porter's Place was after Bill Smothers had left. But after Bill Smothers left, there was a guy named Montgomery Addison run across the tracks. He run that after Bill Smothers. Then after Bill Smothers, there was a guy by the name of Jimmy Durham. He run that building. After Jimmy Durham, I think Baby Lancaster, Mike Lancaster and Miss Baby. Then after them, I opened up Porter's Place. And that was from 88, 89, 90, and 91. I think those are the years I was open. And it was a big, big building. It was a huge building. It had a basement, and of course the middle floor where Porter's Place was located. And then it had an upstairs. And to get to the upstairs, we actually had an old elevator in there that had been there for years. And when we first went in, the guy who actually owned the building, he had a degree in building and industrial construction and all of that. So when he went in, I said, well, we'll go in here and just make it look good. But he had other plans. When he went in there, and when we went to the auctions to get supplies and the tables and so on, I was thinking, man, you mean we actually gonna buy this to go in Porter? I was looking for just like regular metal chairs. All of our chairs was cushioned, my man. And the ones in front was like, I can't even describe them, but you're going to see them here in a second. And then the ones in the back, I don't think we had a metal chair in the building. Everything was cushioned. Everything looked good. As a matter of fact, some people would come in and they say, I can't even believe we got a club like this in Lebanon, Kentucky. Because the last real club for black folks was attributed to Howling George. He built that from the ground up. And that was a very, very nice place, the Club Cherry. So I would really compare my place to the Club Cherry, only in a different era. Club Cherry was brand new. Mine was a used building. I think it might have been a big feed distribution. It was a big building. When they came to Porter's Place, man, they really felt welcome. And we got people from Springfield, Bardstown, Danville, Louisville, Kentucky, over toward Hart County, and people from everywhere, man, came to Porter's Place. Because see, that, like I say, that was the last real nightclub. I mean, this was a nightclub. It wasn't no, it definitely was not a hole in the wall. Because I can remember when I first opened, this guy from Louisville came down, and he had heard that I had a nice club, so he wanted to see for himself. And he didn't know that I knew he was coming in to check my shit out. And he came in, and he sat down, and I said, man, you want something to drink? No, man, I'm just chilling. So he sat in there in my little swivel, nice chairs I had, and he folded his hand, and he looked. He said, man, I tell you what. He said, there's not another club in Louisville, Kentucky that's this nice. He said, we got some that's bigger. He said, we got some that's bigger, but not this nice. So, you know, there was a lot of things said and a lot of things done. And but like I say, people just come to have a good time, man. And that's what it was, you know. It was a big nightclub. It was a successful nightclub. It's just that it became overwhelmed with the work that was involved. And so I only stayed in it about 3 or 4 years. And getting into the business, you have to be disciplined. Because if you're not disciplined, a whole lot of things can go wrong. It'll break up a marriage. It'll break up a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. And it can lead to, when you're opening up the club, you got to really have the right people in place. You have to have a good support system. You got to have some type of a business mind and be disciplined. If you're undisciplined, what's going to happen? You're going to have one of these Saturday nights where you make a pocket full of money, and instead of putting it in the bank, you're going to go and splurge and show off. So if you're going to get into business, have somebody that can keep you in check. Because if you don't, you're going to get the big head, and you ain't going to put none of that money back. And then the federal government is going to come out for all them taxes that you failed to pay. So before you go into it, have some experience, or maybe even have a background in business. Because when I went in, I didn't have a background in business. It was just me trying to make a hustle. So if I had it to do all over again, what I would tell somebody is just what I said. Have a good support system. That's from good people that you can trust behind the bar, people that's on the door, and especially have a couple or maybe 3 or 4 security guards to keep people in check. Keep them in check before stuff gets out of hand. Because once it gets out of hand, man, you can really, really be in trouble. Sometimes to get people in, you have to make an event bigger than what it is. And if I can give you a perfect example, I had a group from Louisville called the Underground Mafia. Underground Mafia wanted a whole lot of money. And I told them, I said, look here, man, we're in a small town. So I can't give you what you want. I said, but I tell you what you do. This was during the summer. I said, y'all come on down here in your drop tops, and y'all go through all the little black neighborhoods, Warren Acres, Rosenwald Village, and all the other ones. And I said, pump up that music. And I said, you get these people pumped up. And I said, that's going to make the money flow in even better. So they done that. That night, we had a full house. So it's all type of little gimmicks that will work. And sometimes a gimmick won't work. But in a small town, you got to do what you got to do. And I was always using gimmicks. And most of the time, my little gimmicks worked, so it was all good. But it was one hell of an experience, and I got out of it. It was several reasons why I got out of the business. One, it can be stressful. And when I got into it, I was in my late 30s. So it was stressful. And then there was some personal stuff going on where I had to give it up. Because what was going on is I was becoming a product of my environment. And what that was is each folk coming in here acting crazy. And I'm trying to be nice, but sometimes folks won't let you be nice, man. So I'm thinking, well, hell, I guess I got to get crazy too. So I would become overwhelmed because I was beginning to be like the people. Some of the people who were coming in there acting silly, I'm thinking, I can pull out my stick because I'd rather hit you in the head than shoot you in your neck. You know what I'm saying? Because once you take that life, man, you can't get it back. So it began to overwhelm me. Even my mindset about people were changing. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, hey, man, this is not even me, man. I have to really be stirred up to act a fool like some of these people come in the club and act. So once again, I have to go back to making sure that the people come in your club, that you keep them checked, man. You ain't got to go up and start nothing with them. Just be diplomatic. Hey, man, what's going on? You know, try to just chill them out, man. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have trouble on your hands.